just after I started this little channel. Unfortunately, I fractured my elbow. In fact, I've put up a quick video about it. Now, obviously, it's not as major as a break, but it's still really restrictive. Since I could barely move my arm, without being in searing pain, I thought I wouldn't be able to play games for a while. It turns out, actually, if I was smart about it, I could. Now, of course, with this kind of stuff, you've got to get the legal crap out of the way, right? So, just to be blunt, I'm not a medical professional, this isn't medical advice, and I'm not responsible for any injuries you sustain following anything from this video. I just wanted to take this opportunity to catalogue what I was going through and what worked for me. Perhaps I might be able to pass on some advice to anyone encountering the same problem, or at the very least give you a few ideas. As a matter of fact, you might even have a busted arm right now, and that could have brought you to this video. So on that note, hello fellow gamers, and these were the games that I was playing whilst my arm was recovering. In the first couple of weeks, I was instructed to keep my arm in a sling as much as possible, and perhaps maybe sometimes just take it out the sling and exercise it a little bit. Problem was, though, that I busted my right arm. I'm right-handed. This is my dominant arm. That, of course, made simple, everyday tasks much harder, as I was trying to do everything in a mirrored and unfamiliar fashion. During this time, I couldn't even, operate or even hold a controller without being in pain. Even simply pressing the buttons on the controller with my thumb of my bad arm was painful. This even ruled out the first obvious solution, which was plain using the Joy-Con, as you can see here. It's surprising, really, how much you rely on the muscles and tendons in your elbow to move your hand or even your fingers. So because of that, I was limited to single-handed playing, or playing titles with very simple controls, where you have all the time in the world to make you move. So, what did I go for? Pokemon Let's Go seemed like an obvious solution. With this game, you can play with a single Joy-Con or even with the Pokeball that comes with many of the packs. Of course, only requires one hand, and since it was my right arm that was busted, this was like I was playing it as if I wasn't disabled. I even had a look at a few alternatives. I've got this 3D printed model of something that I found online, which allows you to play with both of the Joy-Con with a single hand. The idea is you print it out and then you just slot the Joy-Con in like so. Now, I don't know if it's my printer, but I had to take this model and blow it up about 10% before they would even fit. But trying it out was kind of awkward, I've got to be honest. I think maybe this is best suited for point-and-click games like, say, Thimbleweed Park. Or even Back to the Future. Because I don't have this on the Switch, I've got it on my Xbox One. I loved the Back to the Future trilogy, and this game is a great nod towards that. And the controls on it are actually really simple, so you can go ahead and just play this with one hand, albeit slowly, but it works. Of course, this would work with other point-and-click games or other Telltale games like these. Now, I was told after 2 weeks I could take the sling off and I could focus on my exercises a little more to increase flexibility and strength. I still kept the sling on my person though, at least within arm's reach, as doing all of this was quite tiring. I wanted to be able to rest my arm whenever possible. It was at this stage though where I was able to twist my wrist more than about 30 degrees, and I had more strength in my fingers as well. So I was able to finally hold the controller with both hands and press the buttons. This means I can finally start playing more of my collection. However, due to the tenderness in my elbow, I couldn't play anything that required quick responses or anything that could make me flinch. So, games like Smash Brothers or Skyrim or anything like that are sadly out. I needed something a little more laid back. I thought perhaps a safe option would be to go for an easy platformer. And what better than to go for Yoshi's Crafted World, which had recently come out on the Switch. Now, not only is this game laid back, carefree, it's so charming as well with the way that it's been made out of various different crafting materials. It was definitely a lot of fun going through this during my recovery. Now, what ARM recovery video would be complete without a turn-based RPG? Octopath Traveler came out last year from Square Enix on the Nintendo Switch, but of course other turn-based RPGs like the Final Fantasy series, the early ones anyway, would be suitable for this. As a result, I managed to get through a few of the chapters during these 2 weeks. The next game I tried was Detroit Become Human, which is a PS4 exclusive. I'd heard a lot about this game. I'd heard it was really good, that it had a lot of different endings on it as well, so it had a lot of replayability. Before getting this game, I'd even tried the free demo download, which is just the first level here. But once I was playing it more, I found myself getting sucked into the story. It's almost like a futuristic soap opera. A lot of the game is really down to the story, and the story is really, really good. At one point I'd sat down on this just to play it for maybe half an hour to an hour, and I got sucked in for the rest of the evening. The controls on this game are actually relatively simple, and they don't require much dexterity in your hands, so even someone recovering from a busted arm will be able to sit down and enjoy this game. Continuing from one game that has pretty simple controls to another which is generally pretty simple. Shenmue is a port of the original Dreamcast version on current platforms. You can get this on Xbox and on PS4. And I think on PC. It's a story where you control a character called Ryu, who is avenging the death of his father. Now, a lot of the game is really running around and talking to random people in order to get a clue in order to move on to the next part of the game. There are a couple of fighting sections, but they're not that intensive. But the condition that I was in at the time meant that I was able to go through this version on the Xbox One. I thought of it as a second playthrough because I've already been through it on the Dreamcast. After the first 4 weeks, it was at this point where I was starting to notice quite a bit more strength coming back into my arm, rather than flexibility, being able to turn my wrist and anything like that. My gaming was starting to get back to normal, but I didn't feel comfortable playing really intensive games, so Smash Brothers was still out. However, though, it meant that I could spread out to slightly more intensive games. So what did I go for? I thought I would give a 3D platformer a go, and seeing as I'd already completed Mario Odyssey, I thought I would carry on with Yooka-Laylee. I'm very familiar with these type of games, especially since I played Mario and Banjo-Kazooie back in the 90s. So I felt it was a much more comfortable choice for me. And of course it meant I was able to get some playtime in with this game because I haven't been able to play it for a while. Now, since at this point I've got more strength in my arm, I've got a bit more flexibility in my arm, I couldn't rule out virtual reality games. Now, of course, I'm not talking about games where you flail your arms around with controllers, but something where you can be really immersed in what you're playing. With that in mind, I opted for Battlezone VR on my PSVR. The most difficult part of it, really, is putting the VR headset on. After that, you're just holding the controller as if you're carrying on as normal. It was nice to be able to jump into this again, actually, because it's really a lot of fun. Now this one might actually surprise a few people. Racing games, like with fighting games, require quick reflexes. But what makes the Forza series different to a lot of the racing games that I've got is that you've got a rewind option. So you don't really need to worry about having the quick reflexes. If you make a mistake round a corner, you can just press a button and rewind so you can take it again. Though I've got to admit, it was such a shame that I was on the winter events when I decided to pick this up with my damaged arm. But hey, that's not going to stop me taking my Jag out for a ride. So that's the lot. Those were the games that I was playing mostly over the last few weeks while I was recovering. I hope I've given you some ideas as to what to do if you bust your arm in the future. And if you have busted your arm now, I hope you have a speedy recovery. But anyway, I'm not going to take you away from your games any longer. I'll catch you all next time. Thank you so much for watching the vid, guys. Liked it? Disliked it? If you've got a second, let me know how you felt down below. And while you're down there, if you want to see more of what I have to offer, go ahead and subscribe. I've got loads more ideas for future videos and I wouldn't want you to miss out. Oh, and here's all the other social media goblins as well. Thanks again for watching, and you have yourself a great day.